Hey guys, welcome to the review crew that's on the Centre Bounce, the show where the hosts are about 8 trades behind everyone else, wanting to get rid of 18 different primos and potentially are stuck with Caleb Daniel as Tristan Xerri goes massive. How you doing, Kai? How's your Monday? How's your weekend been?
Oh, Monday, it's been all right. I wouldn't say it's been the greatest. The weekend, I probably actually watched like the least amount of footy this week, even though it was the closest game and probably games and the best week for a lot of people. I think that was just because of the sort of how Supercoach all went in general for me. And yeah, it wasn't the best week in total, and back down the ranks I go, I guess.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough one, isn't it? I mean, the people who made the moves earlier on in the season, I guess, are the ones that are, to a lesser extent, surviving now. And, mate, I'll tell you what, there's a few players, e.g. Ryan Marich and some people who, maybe finished off their forward lines earlier, maybe picked up a Tristan Xerri at 585K, that would be very, very happy at the moment.
Yep. Not me.
Yeah. Not you. Nah, fair enough. As we kind of have all the fans of the show trickle in, yeah, biggest high for you this week, Kai, and biggest low score or low for you, either in the games that were played or just Supercoach wise. And I think I put in the thumbnail this was round 8 review, but it is actually round 9 review, so I'll figure that out.
The biggest high that would, I mean, I didn't even watch the game, but just Zorko getting back to his best. The annoying thing was, I think you'll find, and I think this is the same with your team, is that currently there's a lot of options in that 500k range or 520k range, but I substantially have a lot of those guys already in my side that they've fallen from when I purchased them at like 580 to 600k. So a lot of them, like Sinclair and Zorko, came back with a bang, but they fell enough that everyone else is going to grab them. And then probably the biggest fail of the week, even though he went and scored 97, I think just the sort of difference between Rankin and Xerri was very apparent, I guess. And now it's stuffed up my whole week plans. And I think I even showed it for about 5 minutes in my review video, being like, well, I'm about 10k short of this, 10k short of that. And I think it would have been a lot easier if I had spent the cash to get Xerri and then just gone and upgraded, because I think I would have just been able to do a 1 up, 1 down simple, whereas it's too much cash for a 1 up, 1 down and not enough cash for a 2 up or upgrading 2 guys at the moment.
Yeah, myself, I really would hope that, hey, if I had a boost, if there were some other things happening, life would be a lot easier. But at the moment, that is not the case, Kai. Similar to yourself, there's a couple of players who I brought in, some guys who scored big, and then in my team especially, a couple of primos that I'm not very happy about. It is the one Nick Dacos, Zach Merritt, and Jordan Dawson. 2 out of the 3 at least that went big last week did not go big this week, and I'm really not happy about it in my team. Another thing as well, just I think everyone who's watching and those that come back and rewatch this after, where are all the rookies gone, Kai? They're just non-existent at the moment.
Waiting for Sydney to probably put the white flag up, I think, at this point, because they might have some rookies. But there's not many good rookies, and I mean, Huswaite's that's a bummer. I mean, Boxall could be one, but there's not really much to really go in and grab at the moment, and we're sort of waiting for the mid-season draft, I would think. But then again, we're going to be so let down on trades that it's going to be hard to sort of make maneuvers, I would say, almost in a way. So it's definitely different to years past, because yes, we still have the rookies like an Levi going well and Zach Reed going well, but we still have just a lot of, I would say, mid prizes and primos just falling 2 or 3 weeks early, it feels like. And then you're trading them out, and suddenly you've used an extra 2-3 trades and you're down about 200-300k in cash generation. And that 200-300k is mostly sitting on the bench right now in those rookies. Like, too many guys, 180 to 200k, that you just can't do anything with.
Definitely. Well, that's the same for myself. I mean, I brought Hustwaite in, obviously a week early compared to some people, but brought him in, was hoping, hey, he's going to get to 300K. The guy's averaging 75 to 80. No worries there. Dropped a stinker score, was subbed out at half time, and now a bit of a shock for some people who are watching. Did not make the plane to NT. So either he got a threatening message from Rioli and decided to stay home, or he's been dropped, fellas. So it's not great. Captain Flash, hello lads, how you doing, Flash? Hope you're doing well. So glad I brought in Cherry. Well, there you go. Joe, obviously you guys know Joe, and the Thursday that we went and watched North Melbourne versus Essendon, I think was a massive turning point in his team and in his Supercoach at the moment. He's got the cash gen at the moment, and Matt Flynn versus Cherry over the last 2 weeks since he brought in Cherry has been a bit atrocious. So I almost hope that a Matt Flynn gets dropped this week, so I'm forced to trade him out. But boy, oh boy, I think he's up about 200 points, Kai, in 2 weeks. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I was looking at that Cherry at halftime. I was like, oh, that's perfect. And he's going to go to like a... Yeah, I was like, he's going to go to about, 110, 115, somewhere around there. Be perfect upgrade next week because he has the easy draw, etc. And then I see it like 3/4 time that he's on about 120. I go, well, that pretty much stuffs that. So in the end, I thought at the start of the round, Rankin had a 20 better break even, so he will go up, and arguably had a easier game in that. I know it's a rivalry game, but he usually stands up in those type of games. So I thought, oh yeah, he'll go 120, beat Cherry by about 5-10K or whatever, and then I'll just trade in Cherry next week at like 640 or so, or something like that, or just wait in general. And now it looks like Cherry's going to be the next one to get to 700K.
Yeah, this is probably cash gen wise and just money in the bank wise. This is probably the last week that I can actually afford to get Cherry in my team. And I think the way that my team's going, hopefully I can hold out until the bye rounds in terms of upgrades and whatnot. I may be suckered to bring in someone like an Archer Day Wicks this week, Kai, just to finish off a bit of the team. Unfortunately, Hayes from Essendon has now gone down with his ACL, so makes that really hard. But yeah, it's a bit of a rough one. If you don't own Cherry, you better, because Richmond give up a lot of points. I think North Melbourne may get their second win of the year. We could go back to back nonsense. So I might be forced to hold a couple of underperforming primos this week, grab a Cherry and bite the bullet maybe. Bello, hope you're doing well, mate. Evening all, looking at SPP and buy/Daniel out for Dunkley Rosie and a cheap rookie. Yeah, potentially. Cooper Simpson could be the saving grace that a few of us are looking for at the moment. Looked okay in that Freo backline, Kai. 113K, I believe, as well. So few people saying, hey, Erasmus might be the one. Unfortunately, he was sub, so it really kind of killed that in terms of cash gen and whatnot. For the people that had him, didn't have him alongside a Buslinger, but Cooper Simpson might be the go, and I think he's actually been scoring quite well in the VFL, in the Waffle as well.
Yeah. Yep. I've looked at the likes of Simpson and gone, I just hope he survives at this point. There wasn't much, and there was also obviously with Darcy and whatever happened there. There's the fact that the likes of Oscar McDonald could come back in and play, hopefully. But it just feels like there's too many at this point in the season, especially just with sub, and that rule has just been the bane of my existence for the last couple of years. But yeah, there's too many guys at the moment that either get to 2 games and then just not seen, not cited, MIA, and then, or they get to 2 games, they get picked, and then they're either the red or the green vest, and it's just downhill from there. And they face 2 games in those vests, and it kills off their cash, and they end up on 180K. Yeah,
I understand, man. It is rough. It is terrible, and we need to do some better stuff with our super coaching, because as content creators, it feels like, hey, we have a little bit of a responsibility to do, the things that we need to do. And Yeah, I cannot get Cooper Simpson. I am 2K off. So it looks like Archer Day Wicks, welcome to my team, Kai. It is a bit rough
Yeah,
this
I was
week.
at like I want to even say I might have been at with one of the sets of trades that I looked at, because I looked at like so many, when you're just constantly just flicking between different ideas. I think one of them I set out at 119.1 and it just went, great. That's just 800 coins off of a 119.9 guy.
Yeah.
And then I mean Boxall, if he doesn't, Boxall could just be a down game. But having said that, Russline is a guy that likes to pull the sub early comparatively and teach guys lessons. So even though it does work in the future and they do come out playing better, that does stall their cash gem for 2-3 weeks if he is to get a vest in some form.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, man.
Get rid of the vest, please.
He's the only one guy. He's the only player I can bring in this week. And he may have to play on field, and it's really depressing. We'll see. I'm basically cooked unless Gross plays, but watch him somehow not play because he had 2 holding the ball decisions, even though he was probably their best on in the last quarter. Yeah, that's kind of the terrible thing, isn't it? Rough weekend. Do we just hold out?
The West Coast should just play the rookies. Like, honestly, they're not going to win the game if they just, at the rate that they're going, they're going to win maybe 1 game if they play the experienced players. Surely long term, you just play the rookies at this point and just say, yep.
Well, yeah. If you look at the ladder at the moment, give me 1 sec.
I mean, that's what I was even saying with Sydney and just how they might start playing the rookies this week. And I put out like a Swans best 22 is like, if you look at the Swans fixture, there's genuinely 5 games that pencil them in for a loss. And if you look at the last couple of years that we've had 23 games, you can only lose, I think it's 10 or 11. 11's pretty much you have to have a high percentage. 10 is when you can get in 13 and 10, but 12 and 11 you can't. If you put 5 losses onto Sydney at 3 and 6 at the moment, they're pretty much cooked. So that's without them losing to like GWS and like Essendon again, which could easily happen. So there's going to become a point where I think and I also didn't count the Carlton game itself on the weekend. I think if they lose Carlton, they might put the white flag up and just start playing the kids, hopefully. But yeah.
No, I think so as well. We have a look kind of at the ladder. There's probably 11 teams potentially that can get in, maybe 1 more in St Kilda, but that's it. If you're one of these bottom teams, mate, start to play the kids, start to have a bit of fun and see what's up.
Even just with like a lot of them as well. Like even for Sydney, they have a guy that's going to be drafted next year. That's over the year, and he's somewhere in that 5 to 10 range. It's almost better suited for them to tank the rest of the year to get under him, and then be able to pick another guy. So there's that consideration as well that might happen. Yeah,
that was kind of the Essendon mantra.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Trade off and get Kako and hopefully get a better pick. Hello, gents. Well done to the Kangas on the weekend. Nearly got the Lions, Charles. Nearly got Brisbane.
But you can thank your Swans players for that.
Yeah. Well, hey, Luke Parker did pretty well. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
About him. Constanti's still learning. I mean, the guy's played 9 games at AFL in his career, so I'll take
at least he's not missing from 10 meters out in front.
There you go. Looking at Daniel and Patton to Sard and potentially a McCluggage. Nice. Tossing up between him, Sinclair, and Clark. I like his pod appeal. McCluggage will do okay. I'm a little bit wary of my situation I think is a little bit different, but I'm very much wary of the matchups at the moment, Captain Flash, and we have a team playing West Coast this week in St Kilda. So I think Sinclair could just go bananas, especially if St Kilda. So if West Coast decide to just give up halfway through. So potentially, you guys could get a very, very good selection. I mean, I've seen a few people jump on a Jack Steele as well, and I think Sinclair a little bit Naz as well. Supercoach has a weird way of saying, hey, you should really go and pick up these players. These players are going to score bananas and going to do very well. And Sinclair just almost hitting his break even, but losing a tiny bit of catch. I mean, the guy was on it just over 100 at 3/4 time and only scored 20 points. I think it's Sinclair as the pickup. We know he's going to be backline keeper. I think St Kilda's run over the next couple of weeks are pretty good, and he's got a good buy round. So, yeah, it could be the one there. Big J
And he
needs to get
literally
Xerri.
started the season in the game as well. He literally, I don't know how that happened in the game. I was just honestly looking at it going, he looked at himself for a second and went, I'm this free from that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Need to get Xerri. Yeah, even if my team's not finished by the end of the season, Xerri might be the one. I just need to finagle some moves around. We'll see what happens. G'day, gents. Thoughts on rookies and downgrades, mate. The problem is there really isn't many. That's the big issue.
The sub rule has stuffed it.
Yeah, the sub rule has
might
killed.
come in handy.
Yeah, the sub rule has killed a lot. If we have a bit of a look, Sean,
because like I would honestly say that the three best are probably Boxall, Bell Hawley, and then if Sheldrick plays on the Friday night, if he can stay out of the vest, then that could be interesting because he does pick up 25 touches for fun in games. So
if we look at break evens of just in general, the guys, let's pretend, are about, if we have to pay up for a better playing rookie, let's go 228K across every position. There's not a lot. There's a couple of guys here who, Sorry, I'm just trying to get a software update at the moment.
I thought Lorenz being dropped would be the worst of this, but he's almost just.
He could be an okay option. He's got a negative 34 break even. If we look at Oscar McDonald, potentially with Frio's players coming back, might be an option, but a big wait and see. Problem with McDonald is their forward line is doing okay with Voss, and their back line really hasn't had much trouble. So potentially another ruckman comes in. We'll see what happens. Or they just play Jackson, which might be a case as well. Boxall could be the one that everyone downgrades to. It sucks that people jumped on him early. But yeah, it sucks when that's happened. Hopefully he doesn't get dropped. I'm pretty sure he was sub Kai or just had a sub score, so wasn't great there. Camporelli's never coming back.
Sub, but he just had a stinker.
Yeah, well, there you go. Camporelli's never coming back. Unfortunately, his VFL scores are in the toilet. Let's have a bit of
his brother's outdoing him at this point.
Yeah, which is really sad because I have him and not a Max Hall, who's obviously gone massive this year.
Yep.
Yeah, his VFL scores are not great. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, he did okay. But outside of that,
there was that game that he had like 25 touches. I was like, he might get back in. After that, I just went, nah.
Yeah.
At least one thing that's a positive is because of the injuries for Carlton, Carroll is pretty much destined to come back in. Yeah. That's about one of the only positives.
Yeah, that is what Velo's saying here as well. Carroll should be back. Big sign for Carroll as well is that he was supposed to play in the VFL on Sunday. Basically got pulled from the team because they didn't want to have the 5-day break from him. So I think that means he's
or just him getting injured.
Well, yeah, just him getting injured like everyone else. Let's have a bit more of a look in terms of players that I would hope eventually come back. Boxall's probably the biggest trade in. He is mid only, but should keep playing. Hopefully, they do play West Coast, which is obviously a big bump in terms of
could
scoring.
Actually help him because he's playing he's playing that sort of small forward midish role, and that's the thing I was almost going to say about Sinclair is him and Wanganeen Malira. If West Coast put out a proper West Coast performance, they might not touch the ball. Like I've seen that before with Sicily down back against Richmond last year, like trading him in for like a 35 or something dumb like that. And it was just like, what is going on here? Just couldn't touch it. So that's the problem with the halfbacks against terrible sides. Yeah,
that's what happened with Jordan Clark, I think, when they played West Coast as well. The ball was just always in the forward line and he scored a 50. There really isn't much. Even Joe Fonte kind of shit the bed a little bit. Sorry for the language there.
Yep.
Sandy Brock might hold his spot. We'll see for the team sheets. He might be the one that everyone brings in.
He was honestly the best option, to be honest.
Yeah, he was really good last week. If you don't have Assad, I think he's somewhat cemented his spot in the team as well. Even though he does have a somewhat low, high break even. There really isn't many. Like, to be honest, there really isn't many. And even a Buslinger, was dropped as well and didn't really do much. So, yeah, the rookies have dried up, unfortunately, Sean. It's a tough situation for a lot of us, and I think this is the week where I think a lot of us look to potentially sideways a couple of players or bring in somebody. Mid-season draft, Kai, is like 3 weeks. So if you can hold out, if you can, try and get an upgrade or so on your team and do some funky stuff, you may be okay. But yeah, there's just nothing. Essendon should have a couple of players coming through. Hopefully Archer Day Wicks is hoping DPP, I think, his defender forward. Hopefully he keeps his spot now that Hayes is out, even though Hayes would have been perfect. Yeah, it's a bit rough. Gavin, Zach Reed is a keeper. I think so as well. I mean, I've been prophesizing it since basically the guy started popping out 80s and 90s. And interesting stat, Kai, I spoke with Joe today. I know you'll love this. Since round 2, any opponent that Zach Reed has played on has not kicked a goal. So when he plays on your player, you just not kick goals. So it's pretty crazy.
To be fair, he was on Aaron Francis, and Francis missed from a meter out straight in front. I don't know how he missed that one, but it must have been the voodoo from Zach Reed.
He's a pretty good intercept marker, regardless of what happened.
Yeah, that was a crazy stat, and that was a tough watch for, I think, both sides in the first quarter itself. Just, I think it was the leading intercept game mark for a quarter. I think it was like 25 intercept marks or something in the first quarter alone.
It was pretty rough.
Blakey, I think, had 5 intercept marks in the first quarter alone or something dumb like that.
Cherry will go 160. I think that's a big problem for myself not owning as well.
Yep.
Zach is the Messiah. According to Joe, mate, Zach Reed is a gun. Every year there always seems to be one rookie that ends up scoring comparable to a primo, and we've had Ashcroft for a little while. Unfortunately, you score 50 at halftime and then you finish the game on a 77. It's not great.
The thing is, if that was the blowout, Ashcroft probably ends up on 95 and Cherry probably ends up on 140 just due to scaling. So
there you go.
That being a draw actually stuffed me over probably about 50 odd points, 60 odd points.
Rookie roulette has definitely started 100%. Just keep a few trades. Like, it might be the weeks over this week and next week and probably heading up to round 12 where I just don't do any trades. It might just be like, hold the fort, wait for some mid-season draftees to come in, wait till I can go 2 down, 1 up on a couple of players and hopefully get something there. Willing to wait a week on Box. He'll go up by 40K. Hopefully he's named. Matt Carroll should return. Michael, how you doing, Michael? Hey, Big J. Yep, 100% can start doing that. Jonas, that works. Eagles robbed. North stiff. Essendon gifted. What a round, mate. I don't know if you saw the stats, Kai, but this round was the closest round ever in AFL history.
Yeah, and the fact that there was still a 35-point game in there was quite crazy. Yep. And that game was close until 3/4 time, and I honestly thought that game was, Melbourne had a chance in that as well going into
definitely.
The fourth quarter. I thought that they might just do it because Gawn started, I think it was the fourth quarter, Gawn went bang, 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 and he was on, I think, 135, and I think he missed a shot to almost give them a lead or get them back within a goal. And then I think Hawthorn might have scored 3 in 2 minutes or something dumb. It was like 2 straight out of the centre.
Yeah, Nishat is saying here, closest since 1970. There you go. Worth going on Philippou early. Potentially.
Looked at that.
I've seen a few people bring him in. He could end up being the saviour that a lot of people need, especially for the people like myself who, hypothetically, right? Let's pretend. In my team, if I go Chera out, if I go Daniel to Philippou, I can almost get a midfield keeper in. So let me see.
Yeah. Philippou's my way basically for me to go Daniel and Bice to... It would probably be a Wangadi Malira and Philippou itself, just going full the St Kilda. Because that round, I say this because in hindsight, it's not going to actually be true because there's going to be no rookies playing. But in hindsight, you would have, or I guess you would think you'd have enough coverage players to just stock up on that round, being only 2 teams on that bye round. I think that's round 13. That's St Kilda and
Freo, yeah.
Who was it? Is it? I
St.
swear
Kilda,
those
Freo.
two have been on that bye round for the last like 3 years.
It was
one
St.
of the two.
Kilda. I think it was St Kilda Port Adelaide last year. And now it's St.
And then
Kilda,
I swear
Freo.
Freo might have been the year before that.
Oh, potentially.
And they've just gone, we'll just put them both back on that 2-team bye round.
If you had a Hewitt plus some cash, if you wanted to go up that way, 100%, especially if Hewitt was on field. If you want to downgrade and don't care too much about someone like a Caleb Daniel and, you want to upgrade and get a primo in, fantastic. I think that the cash gen given by a Philippou down could work, and his stats are not terrible. So either this week or next week, if you've got some players that you want to offload, potentially he's one of them. Good call there, Velo. Joshua, how you doing, Josh? Hey, guys, thoughts on getting Zach Reed in for... Well, you don't have Zach Reed. There you go. Only a 7K difference between them. Reed's coin can go from... Yeah, he's bananas. I would get him in if you do not have him. A lot of us are considering him to be a keeper at this point.
Considering he's almost locked in for me.
Well, there you go. So... Yeah, 100% get him in if you can. Thinking Flynn and Daniel to a Cherry and a Rook. Cool. Done. I think potentially I can do that in my team as well, if not Flynn and Beist. I don't mind it. There is potential for a Daniel at some point, Kai, and maybe this is just the tipping point, but there is potential for a Daniel at some point to actually get dropped and to just be like, hey, the club's not happy, the team's not happy. Daniel, stop being poor disposals and hurting our team. Some of the stats coming out of North Melbourne's backline isn't great. So, I mean, if that happened, anyway.
There was almost that same talk in Sydney circles about Matt Roberts, but there's about 5 guys ahead of him that are doing even worse. So,
yeah,
he's getting saved at least, and the injuries help as well.
I think if Daniel didn't have majority kickouts and kind of he's the one that's allowing Sheasel to go forward. So if that didn't happen at North Melbourne, I think things would be a bit weird. But unfortunately, Kai, just seeing a bit of a sneaky stat, if you want to have a bit of a look and everyone else as well. This week is the first week, basically, for the entire season that Caleb Daniel is not leading North Melbourne's kickouts. It is the boy Harry Sheasel. So, yeah, maybe that was he wasn't on field. And then it happened, but yeah, a bit of a rough one there. Maybe a bit of a change in Caleb Daniel. Only problem with Daniel is at the moment, it's probably the saving grace for him, is the fact that he doesn't actually have anyone pushing him out of the spot. And what he does in North Melbourne's backline is very good. So, bit of a hard one there. Anthony, hope you're doing well, mate. Thanks for jumping on. 25-36, there you go. Would have jumped up a bunch. So, Alan, he's returned back from suspension, but I wouldn't go near him at the moment. I think we can just wait.
Didn't he score like a 30?
The one game. Yeah. And that's it, right? So 136K scored, as Kai's saying, he scored 36 in his first game. So it's not great.
Even if he scores 60, probably 60s, he probably only goes up like 25K. 36K for back-to-back 60s.
It's rough. So, Noble a pod. Yes, he will be a pod if you pick him. Initiator, Brock might keep his spot. Hopefully, Campo won't get a game. Ben is a better player than Lucas, hoping we drop Motlock this week. Yeah, there you go. Bo Allen might be busy doing some sideways trading. There you go. When the rookies don't exist, we upgrade the primos or just hold. And I think we might have to do one of the two. We're trying not to lose cash. It's a bit rough. 25.05, doing better than me, Michael, and Kai as well. Now ranked 42.94. Finding it hard to breathe as I'm not... There you go, Michael. Should I trade Sardis and Bias to Sinclair and Rook? Look, I would do that, to be fair. I would do that. Sinclair has basically bottomed out in terms of scoring. The 125-ish from last week has helped him quite a lot. He plays West Coast this week and should run around quite a lot at Optus Oval. So I think he's going to be fantastic. Should dominate, jump up in rankings again. Wish I could do it. In terms of rookies to bring in, Boxall is probably the best one. Or you could go early on someone like an Archer Day Wicks if you want, considering Essendon's players are out. So yeah, there's just not much around. There's no dedicated, we must do this week, unfortunately. Kai, what happened to Patton?
He's a VFL quality player that got injured, as well as players coming back. I mean, if anyone wants to look at I think it's my most recent post, I'm actually hopeful we get some Swans debutantes, and I basically would like to see Francis, Patton, Lloyd, and Florent out of the 22, and that would give us, at least in the Supercoach community, access to 4 underpriced guys. Buller, Hanley, Snell, and Sheldrick, or I hope come into the 22 for Sydney's sake, because Patton's like 26 years old. He's not going to improve, or whatever, however old he is. Francis is like 28 or 30 or whatever. He's like a pick 5 from however long ago. Lloyd's 32 and Florent's out of form, and sometimes you need to kick these experienced players up the butt, because there's some massive complacency at the Swans at the moment because of the injuries. They don't think that they can get dropped, so they don't run defensively. I mean, if you look at the Swans tackling, I think somehow Essendon outdid the Swans by 14 in the tackles, but they were plus 60 in possessions. That is just unacceptable.
No dramas there.
And yeah, that's my hope, but we know that it will most likely with Cox just be probably a pattern for Adams or something like that, and Sheldrick will still be sub.
Yeah, definitely. If we have a little bit of a look at, let's have a quick look. Share screen. Have a little bit of a look at Sydney's VFL stats. Maybe you can give us a bit of a light on who potentially is actually coming in.
It was a not good game on the weekend.
Not a great game. Let's check it out.
And then even worse. But yeah, that was
boy. Essendon really won, guys. Essendon won by quite a lot.
It was they faded out in the last quarter, if I remember correctly.
Well, yeah, the boy Elijah Sardis went massive. Similar
I've
to Pat and a few other players. I think he's VFL quality, but he just struggles to get in. Doesn't have the impact that he wants. Is there anyone here in the first kind of bunch that you think, hey, might be getting a game pretty quick?
Well, the problem is if you were a Swan supporter, you'd realise that half of the players are VFL listed only. There was only 12 AFL listed players out there. One of them being just off the top of my head, Ned Bowman's a half forward in his first year. He is thin as sticks. He didn't do anything.
Yep.
Yeah, going from the bottom up. Blake Lidler, he was MIA. No one actually knew where he was, like legitimately in Swan circles. He wasn't listed on the injury list for like 4 weeks, and then he's played about 3 games, and everyone's going, maybe we might want to hand this he's a very like Sam Wicks, Harry Cunningham style of type of gritty defender. Maybe we want to hand him a debut for like 2 games in the VFL. Tom Hanley is a guy that kicked 3 against GWS a couple of weeks ago in the VFL, but again, had a fade-out game. Then you scroll up. Paddy Snell, another sort of key defender, sort of replace a Rampy type. I have him for a potential debut this week just because Sydney had 1 less tour, and that was kind of apparent. And it also allows us to get rid of Hamling and Francis, or move them out of the forward line, because that's a rough forward line to look at. 2 key defenders playing up forward that have combined for maybe 10 AFL goals in their career. But yeah, he's a guy that I think it might have even been last year. He was selected to play, and then in the AFL, and then got an illness, and then was not selected ever again, because they started to get that was I think around the time that Melican and McCartan and someone else all got injured or something. There was that time where Sydney just had no key defenders again, which happened year on year. Caleb Mitchell could return for one of the wingers, which maybe, but not going to be. None of these guys are really relevant. And then you had Taylor Adams. That's not even that good of a performance. We had Will Green, Project Ruckman, playing key defense at one point, because we had no key defenders, because they were either playing up forward or down back in the AFL, because we had Melican suspended and other guys injured. So there's that.
Sounds a bit rough,
then
guy.
Bull is a key forward. So basically for Sydney, it's either it's basically halfback flankers
it.
or it's key position players. So there's not even that much relevant. But yeah,
Adams,
again, another type of tool. So the thing about Sydney is I think that they're going to be a relevant side next year, but not maybe in the back half of this year, unless it's so bad for rookies that key defenders are almost best choice.
There you go. Reed will probably be my D6, D7. There you go. Closest since 1970. Too late to pick up Cherry? No, I think Cherry is going to be okay. Kai, you got paid DFS, right? Can you have a look at the matchups?
Yes, I do. Let's look at the matchups here.
Hey, boys, it's a long shot, but keeping Sard going Bice, Chera, Flynn to Zorko. Nice. It's fine. Perfect. Let's
do this. Perfect. This one's the main one.
Hey, Big J, Daniels and Humphrey out. Sinclair, Martin leaving. Nice. There you go. Closest round since round 10. That was quote. Chera versus Sydney or Daniel versus Richmond this week. Look, you can probably keep Daniel maybe until his bye, or if he really struggles, offload him to a Philippou next week, depending on the price difference. Break even of 121, but could bounce back, I guess, against a Richmond this week. Hoping we can break through with our first win. There you go, Michael. You are building. You are definitely building. Buller needs to be given a chance. There you go. Initiator, what happened with my tips? Bro, my tips, before we go into this, Kai, I will show you how good I am at tipping in the AFL. It is. I'll show you how good I am at tipping in the AFL. I got three.
Mine
was
pretty good, actually.
I'll show you mine. I got 3 tips last week. One of my wins was the draw. Was the draw. It's terrible.
I got 7.
I picked Freo to beat Collingwood. I'm like, Collingwood's got a bunch of players out. Freo's playing at home. Cool, they'll do okay. Hey, St Kilda's doing really well. They've had a bunch of wins at the moment. You know, maybe they're going to beat Carlton. No, that didn't work out either. Finally picked Hawthorn to beat Melbourne.
You got like the 2 gimme results and the draw.
I know. That's it. I got the free picks this week.
You got the Richmond over the winless team, the draw, and then the top 4 against the bottom 6 side.
There you go, mate. That's all you need to do. Port lost against Adelaide at home. And the Doggies lost
wrong
against
tips were the 2 New South Wales games. I got every other tip that wasn't New South Wales, but the 2 New South Wales games, I flipped the results.
Yeah, it's rough, man. It was a rough day at Big J's house in the tipping world. It's not fun. Kai, let's check out the.
There we go.
Let's check out the cherry. So
that's for the next 6 rounds because the next 6 rounds are probably when it's going to count most, and he's a plus 5.48.
So he's going to do really well. That's all we need to say. He's going to do phenomenal. It is not too late to get in the cherry. Few people
about
jumping
the only
on him.
Positive. Is that Carlton is still a plus matchup. But I'm pretty sure Melbourne -2, and then if I just extend this out back for the whole year and then go again, I think they get almost worse comparatively to everyone else. Everyone else gets the easier matchups, and they don't really get much easier, especially this last little bit of the season where they face 4 hard matchups to end. And North Melbourne, of course, face easy. So if you take out this run is the easiest run of the year or the easiest stretch of 7 games. If you take out this and this, you've got 4 of the easiest matchups back to back for Cherry. In Geelong, who might play STK, St Kilda, who play Rowan Marshall, but he looks so out of form, especially even though he played well on the weekend, some of his numbers are really bad. GWS Briggs Briggs could be cooked his career. His shoulder's that bad. And Nankervis is old and slow. And he faces them back to back. Yeah. I just want to check who's the inside mid for the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks that's gonna, because I tried this and then I picked up Newcomb on the other platform and he's done absolute shocking. So don't almost regard this, but Western Bulldogs are the team to go for.
Yep. Well, that's where it's like, if you've got the Bont, you're laughing. One of those picks that, hey, I wish I had in my side that, potentially he gets an Essendon tag this week. They do some stuff. He could be in line for O'Connor, you would hope, but I don't think that's going to happen too much. Then he has the bye. Then he has a few other players. But boy, oh boy, if you do not have Xerri, I think this is the week. He's gone up by 100K in 2 weeks. It is rough. It is incredibly rough. But I think it may be the week where you have to. It could just be, like, I've currently got Flynn, right? 2 weeks ago, I was speaking about this with Kai off air. 2 weeks ago, Joe went Flynn to Xerri, and now Xerri has at least doubled his score. Is about 200 points up. Yeah, it is rough. Dead end here. Xerri scored 143 points in the second half, yet he went bananas. As North Melbourne actually started to move up in terms of scoring. Had he not given free away in the first quarter, he would have scored a 220. There you go. And he's got a good run matchup. And I think the weird thing with the Xerri, Kai, is just because North Melbourne don't have a lot of points scorers in general. It's not like a Brisbane and then Omac starts to go big, right? As North Melbourne's midfield gets better, Xerri's scoring actually goes up just because they start to pinch your points off the opponents versus like being capped out themselves, right? It is a bit rough. Has to be the last Xerri week. The last week is gettable. We'll be over 700K. Yeah. There you go.
Even if you just put like 120s.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it takes like 3 weeks for him to get back under one, even if he just goes to 120s, but he's not going to do that. Like, he attends the most ruck contests out of the whole comp. There's no,
he's playing number one
for the moment, at least for the next year or two. It will be interesting in like 2027 or 2026 when they finally actually have a competent backup ruckman. How Xerri goes if he loses 5-10% of the ruck contest, but for the next couple of years, he's just got free reign for like 10% more ruck contests than anyone else. And the Champions data is kind of, I think this is, a lot of people have called it out this year at least, is quite a lot broken in its metrics, I would say. And Xerri is he's a very much a good Supercoach fantasy player, but he doesn't, his impact doesn't actually impact the result of games as much as other players do in terms of damage per. Because if you look at a lot of his clearances, they're counted as clean clearances, but they are very Matt Crouch-like. They create very much just dump kicks. Yeah.
Or he like grabs it, as you say, dump kicks it, or grabs it, runs, and then made a little bit of a turnover on the other end.
He loves to grab it out of the air and then handball it to someone who's basically already been tackled. And then they count that as a clean contested possession, and it's worth like 10 points. And you're going, that was almost holding the ball. Like, he's almost just given away basically a hospital pass and gotten 10 points for it.
Mate, that's North Melbourne for you in a heartbeat. There you go.
Guys. That's the game, I guess.
We've got 40-odd people watching. Thank you very much for watching. It's going to be a great show, probably on for an extra 45 minutes or so. If you guys want, we'll go through a couple of extra topics. If you guys want us to have a look at your teams, chuck it in the chat. We'll start doing a bit of team reviews and give some suggestions and whatnot. Players that we need to bring in, players that we don't need to bring in. Kai, if I was to say to you, hey, who's probably the top trade-ins in each position? Let's have a bit of a look for this week.
Which one do we want to go with? Which basket do you feel?
Either or doesn't matter. Maybe we just do like breaking and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah. We'll go top 5%. That feels like we'll go round change. We'll just get rid of all the rookies that we've spent an hour or so trashing. And then we get to, I think it's the week of halfbacks at the moment, because they are sort of that, there's a lot in that 525, 30K region. And I don't know if a lot of people are trusting the midfielders at the moment, because the midfield was horrific this week. I think my highest score might have been 100 and then maybe 90 odds. and then I copped a couple of 70s, and so the midfield was horrific, whereas the back line for me, Zorko, Sinclair, Whitfield, even obviously Zach Reed, etc. I think my back line contributed more points with 6 players than my midfield did with 8. That's how bad it was.
Guys, we'll have a look. I need you guys to post your team name, how much cash you've got left, and if you've got a boost left or not, so we can do 2 or 3 trades.
I kind of wish I'd also potentially even looked at like a Max Holmes when the Bedford was out, because that was obvious that he was going to go large. And I think Port Adelaide, though, who would a Powell Pepper go to him? Because if someone tries to go to him in the midfield, he's just going to go back into the defense with Stewart still. What is he? Is Stewart out? What's going on? With him not being like in contention, with him not being anywhere on my radar, some players you completely forget. Like, I don't look actively at the injury list unless someone like almost points it out to me at this point that someone's like out. So Stewart, I haven't even been keeping up with his situation. I just know he's not on my radar anytime soon. But
that's the way, man.
If you say he's out, then Max Holmes should go to the moon. A lot of people go in Rosie, Marek as well. So you're trying to bargain hunt in this 470 to 530k range, and it's a lot. I actually don't mind as well. The pickup of like a Tom Green area as well. I think he's a guy that could go quite massive, but he does have again the round 16 bye, which is the Brisbane and the Essendon bye, I want to say. And if you think about that, and you think about Lockie Whitfield, Dane Zorko, and Zach Reed all in the same bye, as well as like Josh Dunkley, Lockie Neal, as well as Levi Ashcroft. I want to say even Bailey Smith might be on the same bye week. Let me just quickly check. He's on the same bye week, the Geelong boys. So that's why I'm like, oh, round 16 has the best players, but I don't want to almost jump on one of them because of my limited trades as well at the same point.
Yeah, there's quite a few players. I think for myself, the guy at the top of the list is probably the one to bring in this week in Sinclair. Plays West Coast, has done quite well. Round own change of 24%. So a lot of people jumping on him at the moment. Jordan Clark, probably not. Josh Dunkley's still cheap, but about to jump up in price. I think Cherry may still be the highest owned player at the moment. Someone's got him on their bench, Kai. That masterful, crazy person at the moment. Has him on their bench, potentially at R3, just for a bit of fun. Obviously, that's captaincy loophole and whatnot.
I was going to say that has to be, but that would imagine if you'd stuff that up as well or something. Imagine stuffing that up and seeing Cherry on like 180 and just being like, well, that kind of ruins my season almost.
There you go. He's one of those players. I mean, we'll harp on it like probably once more, but one of those players that, like, I think if you don't own a Connor Rosie, you're like, okay. You don't own a Marek, maybe a little bit different. But if you don't own Cherry, it's like you just can't watch games anymore.
Football,
so like you don't have the best.
There's a lot of players like that I'm like, because a lot of the players that I have, I feel like at least like impact games and stuff like that and win games. Whereas you just look at Rosie, who somehow won the medal when he had 3 kicked on him. I don't know how. I didn't think he was even the best player from his own side in a losing effort, let alone like actually the best player on the ground. Marek as well. He just boots at 60 meters and then just gets like 7 points for that. And I'm just like, that has no impact on the game. And I'm just like, yeah. So a lot of the halfbacks get sort of found out when Marek is basically the Luke Ryan of last year. Doesn't impact games, but just gets points. And it's just so frustrating because you're like, this shouldn't get points. This 60-meter kick that turns into a turnover or a ball in should not get you 6 or 7 points.
Yeah, it's a bit rough. Alrighty.
Like he had 9 touches for 67 points in the last quarter. 9 touches. I think it was like
Bailey Smith. Bailey, they got the cheat code, Kai. Bailey Smith style.
I think it was genuinely like a 2.6 or something multiplier he had in the last quarter from his fantasy to Supercoach, and you just never see that. Like, and so yeah, that was a crazy game from him, and I'm just sitting there like, why? Like, I honestly hate the rule in most of the time that players get such a big multiplier when it's a close game. He had a 31-point last quarter in fantasy, 9 touches, 5 kicks, 4 handballs, 2 tackles, 0 marks, and he had a 67-point last quarter. I just don't get it.
There you go. We'll go through the teams 1 second, fellas. Is CJ defensive option? Look, potentially. I think he's opened guys like Sicily up quite a lot. Made things work for them. If you are desperate for a cheaper option, why not? I just don't think he's ever done it before. If I have a sneaky look at 1 second. If you want to pull up that first team, Kai, just while we're here, WCE rule, we can get it working for us. With Jaff, let's have a bit of a look. He's never really done it before, which is the problem for myself. He was a player of interest a couple of years ago, I remember.
Okay.
Maybe it was 2020. No, not last year. Definitely has been a player of merit before, but never really done it. So last 2 weeks have been fantastic. I don't know if they've got anyone out at the moment, but a rough one.
I see the rank in 4 digits and go, oh no. I feel sad.
Michael has West Coast rule. Let me see
50K.
How much money. Yeah.
50K.
50K. All right, let's check it out. So Sheasel, Zorko, Dale, nice, great backline. Roberts, potentially Reed and Bice. Unfortunately, Bice has now dropped. He's your worst defender. At one point, he was like your second best. Now he's your worst. Cornerstone and Brock, so nice to have Brock there. Brayshaw, Merritt, Petrarca, Dunkley. Okay. Sinclair, Chera, Daniel, Ashcroft. So need to do some things with this midfield. You've got a couple of placeholder players that you could do some stuff with.
Well, he has
potentially
Flynn.
Move a Bice around, definitely in a Flynn. Gorn, Boyd, there, DeConning, Smith, Rankin, Warner, Jack McRae, Parker, Hewitt. Look, if you were feeling feisty, Michael, I potentially would suggest, hey, let's trade out Flynn, let's trade out Bice, use your cash, grab Cherry if you can afford it, and then a Boxall in the middle. That would be potentially my feeling with your team. I think you should be able to make it happen in terms of DPPs and whatnot.
Sinclair's there.
You've got Sinclair. You've got Petrarca who can move around as well. So you've got some flexibility in the team. But I think with a team like this, your back line will be done. Your forward line's effectively pretty close there anyway. Hewitt can move up if you need to. I think.
And the good thing is about Hewitt and Cleary is that because Cleary plays so early, you can loop. Oh, Spargos. I was thinking of my team, who I have Henderson there. Can't loop because that Spargo's actually playing. But
so
you'll be able to hopefully do some looping.
That would be my feeling with the team. Daniel needs to go. Chera probably needs to go. Lindsay, you can put on field. I don't think he gets dropped, so maybe that frees up a spot for you in the team, Michael. But yeah, could be the way to go for yourself. Freddie, where are you doing? Slippery is Butters. Let's have a bit of a look at that one, Kai. 70K in the bank. Looking, as I said, hey boys, it's a long shot, but thoughts on skipping Sard, going Bice, Chera, Flynn to ADW and Xerri. Slippery as Jack. I assume you're Jack, Freddie. I'm going to pick Jack.
I hope you are for your sanity's sake.
Which one
of
does
them
not have
58K?
Yeah, there you go. Look, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Brock, I don't think's got the job security. I think the problem with your team and a lot of teams at the moment is Sard probably does have the job security, so it's a little bit rough to not pick him. Especially it being that price, the low score is going to drop out of his system at the moment. So
this is there's
a couple of players. We're not going to get guys. We're not going to get guys super cheap this week, unless you do go an ADW. But yeah, it could be the way to go. So I like the team. It works out all right. Could have Pryor.
Yeah. Pryor's, isn't he? He's got a 30 break even now after that game. Of course, I traded him out.
He's reset his cash gen, man. All those people that got rid of him.
I traded him out as pretty much him to Huswaite, and now Huswaite's not going to play and Pryor's going to play. Yep. It's the story of the season.
That's it, mate. That's it. We won't finish
that was the obvious trade as well.
Come back.
That was
week.
Obvious.
Come back next year. There you go.
Man.
Frankie, Far Q 134K banked. Let's go.
Let's see. That
Frank,
one?
yep.
Again, I am seeing higher ranks than me and just being disappointed.
Sheasel, Zorko, Clark, nice. Zach Reed there as well. Bison Trainer probably need to go at some point. Glad you've got Brock Pathans there. I don't think
that's a rough one.
Boosts. Yeah. Brayshaw, Hewitt, Neil, Washcroft, Chera, Marek, Ashcroft.
That's.
Got
I thought that was Chad Warner as well on the bench.
Yep.
Far out. Some of these ones are a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
Gorn,
Cherry, which is nice, and then Petrarca, Smith, Rankin, McRae. Cool. So a couple of upgrades left to finish. You obviously don't need to chase Cherry this week, which is fine. Probably look with your team, Frankie. Look at how many dead rookies you've got. Chad Warner, we'll see. Cleary, we'll see. It might be the week that you go after someone like Assad. If you can downgrade somebody, or even just go Patton out, grabbing Sard might be some nice cash gen for you over the next couple of weeks. I don't think... Oh, no, you do have some money. So what will I potentially would say...
130K.
That's not enough to go buy stuff.
What about if he was to do...
I'm looking at Sinclair.
Then you
In
need
this team, I want a Sinclair. So how do we make Sinclair happen?
And then... So what I would probably do... I mean, you could just put Sinclair in the midfield, or Sheasel. But I would be looking at Pal Pepper and then slot a Marek into the forward line. Yep. Then add the 134K. That puts you around that fight. That puts you around Sinclair himself.
Yep.
And then for me, given that you've got really locked, you could look at someone like a Patton to Sard itself. Maybe could get it up to the marker itself as well, but that would be tight. Yep. I think you could also do. Gross is going to play again. You could also, if Husway isn't projected named, which is pretty much the sources saying that he's not going to, and he won't come back because they've got Nash coming in. They've got reinforcements coming back soon. You could do Husway to Sard himself. That should get you over the line. Plus, also just because a lot of us at this point have got the same situation where you got 3 midfield locked players on your midfield bench. So just getting that extra DPP on that bench just opens up opportunities. I know Huswaite was probably brought in over the week, but now he's straight back out. Or you could do Nevitt to the likes of Sard, and that would work as well. And then you just take the best score out of Lindsay or Sard.
Yeah,
unless they play each other this week.
Passing out, I think he's done. Grab Sard from Essendon in, make 3K-ish, then go Bice, or I think you can do it with Pal Pepper. Get rid of Pal Pepper and move Marek to the forward line. You can grab Sinclair. So it's one rookie off the bench. So one rookie off the field, and you've got a player flying. I probably wouldn't touch any more round 16 players, just for the fact that you've got half the Brisbane team in your side at the moment. So makes things a little bit rough, but gets rid of around 13 for you. Gets rid of around 12, gets yourself around 13. I think that's the way to go, Frankie. Yeah. So good, but so wrong. 131K, one boost left. The beautiful thing about the boost as well is that you might find yourself come round 13. I think it's when the mid-season draftees will actually start making us money. You might want to get 2 or 3 of those and still do an upgrade, which is great.
Why does this not?
So you spelled too many O's. Yeah, there you go.
I was like,
Jason, hey, you're around Kai's rank. So there you go. Zorko, Clark,
I got him by about 50 points. Thank you.
Brayshaw, Dacos, Neil, Petrarca, Sarong. No, Kai.
Yeah, let me just put
up it.
There we go. Right. There we go.
Sardis may come back, which would be fantastic for you. Hustwaite, Camporelli. Kai, I need to see the rest of the team.
No, my thing's glitching out.
Gorn, Cherry, Smith, Rankin, McRae, Daniel Cleary, and then Hewitt. Yeah. So you do have a couple of rookies left. It's okay, though. You've got Cherry, which is fine. 2 guys in the forward line need to get finished. You can do that with some Hewitt money now that he's finished in terms of making cash. 1 guy in the midfield, or potentially 2 because Petrarca can move forward, and then 1 to 2 in the back line. I probably would look to grab either probably grab Sard if you can. You do have a lot of money left. You are doing some stuff in the background. Grab Sard if you can in your side. Maybe a pattern downgrade to a Sard banks you a little bit of money, and then just probably grab someone like a Chad Warner. If you can go, how do we make this happen? You don't have the DPP. It's a little bit tricky. I was saying hopefully you can get rid of a Bice, but we can't really do that in your team. You can get anyone if you go Hewitt and Cleary out. Patton moves to the forward line. You grab Sard, and then you can grab basically anyone in your forward line. Maybe that's the way to go, Initiator. If that's something you want to do, your downgrade options really don't exist hugely at the moment. If you go Hewitt and Cleary out, Patton to the forward line, and then move Petrarca to Cleary's spot, then you should be able to grab Sinclair. Maybe that's the play, and you'll have some money for next week. I think that may be the way to go. Ricky, if you guys want my team's names, Bio, BB, Rex, there you go. 14K in the bank, no boost. Thinking Bison, Daniel, Desart, and Jay Clark. Nice. Let's check out Ricky's
Can we have
team.
someone? Can we have more in the sort of 15K range, please?
There you go.
Man.
There you go. So Whitfield, Sheasel,
There we
Zorko,
go.
Sinclair, Reed, Bice. Nice. Just 1 left to finish in your back line. Brayshaw, Dacos, Merritt, Neil. Cool. Probably 3 left in there. Cherry, DeConning. No Max Gorn, unfortunately. Petrarca, Smith, Rankin, Horn, Francis, McRae, Daniel. So hypothetically, forward line is done. Probably need to trade out Caleb Daniel at some point, hopefully. Hopefully he bounces back and we don't have to do that, though, especially against Richmond. What were you thinking? Bison, Daniel, Sard, and Jay Clark. Yeah, do it. Do it. If you want to do it, do it. I think you'll be okay. Finish off the back line. Okay. Sinclair is still really good.
Hor's going to be 350 for you, which will be so lucky. I only traded him out at 250, thinking that was a good play, but he was, of course, the one small forward that went off the chain.
Yeah, do it. I like it. Go for it, Ricky. Placeholder. There we go. 34K, and then have a boost left, guys. If you've actually got any questions for Supercoach Wise, chuck it in there as well. We'll go through a few teams. Maybe we'll finish up about 8:30, Kai, today. Have a bit of a quicker one.
Yep.
34.
Have I missed anything?
Jin, which placeholder are you? Let us know, and we'll go back to it. Let us know. Sinclair playing a little bit more forward in the last few weeks, might put a cap on his scoring. I think he's just getting a little bit more involved. Still took a fair amount of kickouts and whatnot on the weekend. Moved up and down the ground and things like that. So, yeah, might be a bit different there. Velo's Vampires. There you go, Velo. I love that. Whitfield, Sheasel, Zorko, Sinclair, Bice, and then Reed as the last position. So, probably 1 defender left to finish off. Brayshaw, Hewitt, Merritt, Chera, Ned Long. This is where all your points are going, bro. All these points are disappearing from the middle. Lindsay, Hustway, Dawn, Cherry, and then a couple of spots left in the forward line. Look, you need to start doing some upgrades.
Ooh.
So maybe we chase
you would
some
surely
rookies.
be.
Yeah. Maybe it's time to chase.
I would honestly be. But then you don't have another player. Would you put? Surely you're getting like a El Hawley in this scenario or something like that, just because you can. And then I'd be looking at. Yeah, that's you could just can't do that because I'm looking at it going. Sinclair's probably going to have to go. No, he doesn't have to go in the midfield. But you're definitely looking at Ned Long and Powell Pepper at this point. Powell Pepper finally starting to go down. I think his break even, if I just quickly click on it, it's probably going to be in the 70s. I'd hazard a guess. Nope. That's a trade out. 111. That's done.
Yeah, he's done.
And Ned Long, awfully similar. I'd hazard to get 76. So worst case scenario, you hold on to Ned Long for another week. But I think he's going to be that guy that starts to just put up those 80 scores when you're going to be able to have I say a rookie, but the common theory should be that a rookie should be able to do that. But I think it'll be different this year. But I think El Houli can match him or go close enough to him, or some other rookie will pop his head in the next couple of days that should be able to go close to him. And then that would leave you with quite a lot of cash still left on hand, but you would be able to get thinking about it, could he almost, I wouldn't recommend doing this, but could he almost get like a Marek and then someone else as well with the... I don't think
you don't have the players. If we can offload, let's pretend, right? 172 doesn't get you much. How much is Marek? So let's have a look, fellow. If we go, Marek is 472. So 472 minus Pepper, which is 389. Equals 83k left, so 83k minus 172. We have 89k left in the bank. So if we go Bice plus...
Well, I was even looking at Ned Long himself, just a little bit extra, but someone in that sort of range there.
Yeah. Do you have the DPP?
And if we just go
3-round average... Oh, you do?
Your best is on... Yeah, it would be like
Fellow, let us know if you can go Ned Long and Pal Pepper out for Sicily and Marriage. Let us know. Let us know if it works. Sinclair would move to the midfield. And then hopefully we would be looking to get rid of Bice potentially in the next couple of weeks. And you can do that. Let us know. Post in the comments, yeah? Be good. All right. John West, here we go. 83k.
Oh, saving. I'm just happy looking at the rank and seeing someone back with me.
No Sheasel, which is a little bit frustrating for yourself, but that's fine. Read by. So probably needing to upgrade the rookies a little bit this week may be the way to go. Bice, trainer, pattern, 8,300k, so not a lot of money. Brayshaw, Neal, Rosie, Dawson, Chera, Oliver, Ashcroft, Hustwaite. Lindsay swaps for Hustwaite, so at least you don't have a donut in the position. Cherry, DeConning, which is fine. Petrarca, McClay, Crew. Cool. So if I just do a bit of an analysis on your team, Lachlan, we go backline needs one more player. Cool. Midfield needs two more players. Cool. And then forward line needs one more player. If you've got two boosts, it may be a play for yourself to start to say, hey, can I offload someone like a trainer to Assad? Because there's only probably two rookies, or at least one rookie, who I would be confident with getting in this week, and that's Saad from Essendon. So potentially you go a trainer to Saad, gives yourself some money, and then hopefully trying to upgrade a couple of positions on field, which may be the play. Similar to a few other people here. You're only going to get 120k, so it makes things a little bit tricky, but it may be the play for yourself. If that means offloading a Flynn, who probably holds his rank, maybe doesn't go up or down, but probably holds his rank. Holds his price. I think Bice has a super high break even as well, so should be looking to drop in a bit of cash. Maybe that's the thing to offload with there. I would probably forego sideways in premiums in your team. Just at the moment, guys like Chera and Oliver underperforming, but them plus a gross, them plus some cash from a gross come mid-season draft could end up getting you a half-decent player. So it's not too bad. Lindsay goes on field for Hustwaite. Hypothetically, trainer out, Bice out. Lindsay goes on field for Hustwaite, and then look to get some more stuff in your team. I think could be the way to go. He could bounce back against North Melbourne. We do like to give away a lot of points to everybody. Maric is still very cheap, though. So you could go Kako to Sard, get 80k, and problem is 80k doesn't do much for you, Lachlan. That's the only problem. Hypothetically, Kako out. You can't even do it. All right, Kako out. Levi on field for Cleary. Then you go and grab someone like a Maric in the midfield. Might be the way to go if you can. Via a Flynn or something like that with a Sard. So, yeah, maybe the way to go. Keep your boosts. Your team needs it, especially during the bye rounds. Grab some mid-season draftees and you will regen your cash gen on the bench. Make a little bit of money out of the guys like Gross and Patton and things like that might be the way to go. Initiator, focusing on my bench is the way to go. There you go. Sean, don't think do 64k, no boosts left. Yeah, so you can grab a Sinclair, do whatever you want to do. Could work out nice for you, Velo. Grab a defender.
Wow, this interesting team. A lot. I would say again, this is another team that's just looking at it. There's a lot of, because you would almost consider Max Hall playing on field. If you do that, Kako's cash gen I think is cooked. Boyd, 49. He's going to be that slow crawl up to 280k by like round 16, and everyone's going to go, oh, finally some money.
What's Max Hall's break even?
It's like, I want to say it was like 17 or something from memory.
Yeah.
37. So 37, but he has the potential to go a 70 or 80 compared to like a Kako. It feels like could drop another 30. Camporelli dead. Erasmus probably gone, even though, or he just shouldn't be playing. Nevitt, he doesn't look like he's going to be playing. Carroll should be back. Finn O'Sullivan, I have not seen the team, I think, so far doing this that has a Finn O'Sullivan. 48 break even. Again, there's no one. You gain 80k from. So realistically, going down to the likes, but then again, he needs a midfielder because of Huswaite, and then the midfield being so bad. This team is just rough. Yeah. Because, like, Rosie's going to go into the back line, pretty much relatively finishing that off. You've got Chad Warner going into the forward line. That means that you're down to one guy there. But then that means that you've got basically 5 upgrades to do, but 4 of them being midfielders. But I just don't know if you have enough players to... You know what he probably should do? And it sounds weird, but his only option could be genuinely trading out something like trading out of Max Hall, even though he's trading him out. Or it might be just going, I just need to do a Nevitt to a Sard and then just wait a week, have 100k in the bank or so at this point, just because he doesn't really have a way in which he can get to that 500, 520k range, really, without just trading a Primo. Unless you were to do Daniel to someone. That was about it. But I'd almost at that point back a Daniel to sort of turn it around or something. But yeah, unless you were to do sort of a Daniel to a Marek, maybe that might work. But yeah, Bice to a Marek might work, but I don't think you have a defender.
Yeah.
Mid defender.
Biggest thing for me, Sean, biggest thing for me at the moment is try not to have any duds on field. I look at your midfield at the moment, and you're going to have potentially a donut, and that's never a good position to be in. So it might be the week that you pull the trigger on a couple of players. It might even be the week that we say, hey, time to grab a Sard / a Sandy Brock, who I don't think will end up playing, but Sard definitely will. If you can try and get Sheasel to the midfield, that means at least you won't have a donut this week, which is a good position to be in. So maybe a Nevitt out for a Sard, or if you want to, go Kako out for a Sard. Kako to Sard, can you move the... Yeah, you can do it via Erasmus. So Erasmus goes to the forward line, Kako out for Sard, get yourself... 150 minus that is about 80K. So you'll have 140K left. Sheasel goes to the midfield. Sard goes on field. And then you probably go Riley Bice out. So at least you've upgraded the team. You're not going to have any donuts this week. You can grab any defender that you want to get. Maybe the play.
That would be about, what, 5'10", something around that range for a defender?
Well, or a mid. You could grab a mid if you wanted as well. Because you'll have Sard coming in. So at least he's got DPP. Could end up working a little bit.
So, yeah, you may...
What's the amount?
Do you have
Let's figure out. Do you have your calculator? Put the calculator for a sec.
Yeah, so I'll just quickly do it on my... Let me see. Does this... How do I do this?
You just put it on your screen that you're sharing. It just pops up.
I don't know if it will work for me.
Yeah, it worked for me before.
See. Nah, it's not coming up.
All right. So if we go, you've got 64K left.
64.
Let's go. Kako 234 minus 155. I think he's about 155. Equals 79K plus 64K that you've got left. You've got 143K. So, yeah, I would think, Sean, maybe that's the play. Allows yourself to upgrade a Bice on field, and then do that. Maybe you can grab a Sicily if you want to do that instead. Or, so 130, 43 plus 370. Is he 75, Kai? 375.
375. So we have 518.4 on the dot, which...
So any midfielder or defender that you need to put on field, 518K. Who are we selecting? Let's have a bit of a look. If Supercoach did not crap the bed. Ryan Marrick, if you don't have him, could be a half-decent shot. I think he's going to be a keeper for the year. Gets rid of someone off your forward line in a couple of weeks too.
Yeah, Marrick seems like one of the only guys really, unless you were to go and just hope that a Luke Ryan turns it around or a James Sicily. But
I think
you could see merits behind both of them.
I think with your team though, Sean, if you don't have a Bailey Dale, how much is Bailey Dale? I think he's got a fairly decent run.
494.
Yeah, so you've got enough money. Maybe grab a Bailey Dale in the back line. Move Sheasel to Hustgate spot. And then you've got Bailey Dale on field. You've got Sard on field. And then you'll have another primo there. So might be the way to go, Sean. Hopefully that helps.
Yep.
I thought out is Pillar of Pupash 2 Rooks. There you go. Mark, Buck, Don, 60. And then we'll go through quite a few. There you go. Hopefully that helps, Sean. Mark, there you go. Good old Mark.
Yeah,
Whitfield, Sheasel, Zorko, Clark, Reed, and Hayes. Yeah, unlucky about Hayes, mate. Unlucky.
At least he got the right way around.
Yeah, there you go. Dacos, Merritt, Neil, Petrarca, Marek. Cool. So your forward line is effectively completed. We'll see what happens, though. Ashcroft, Hustwaite, Sard. Cool. So just need to start putting in some upgrades, Mark. That's the way to go. I like the team. Just need to start getting some upgrades. How did Jefferson score 1, Kai? Jefferson scored 1. I think he got subbed out, right? But that's
subbed out
rough.
at half time or something. Off like 16 I think he had 2 or 3 clangers. So yeah, I think he
Jefferson, yeah. So he scored 16 fantasy and 1 super coach. Mark,
he had 4 touches at 25% with a turnover. And I don't know if I can see the clangers, but I would hazard he had even a mark inside 50. He must have kicked it out on the full or something from a set shot.
That is rough.
How do you that's genuinely impossible to do, I swear, but he's done it.
Probably look to upgrade the midfield if you can. Potentially 2 to 3 dead rookies on there. You've got Sard already. So it kind of limits a little bit of the options that you do have. Maybe an Archer Day Wicks. I think I know that you love Essendon. You've already got half your team as Essendon, but I think he is one that potentially now doesn't get dropped for the team. There really isn't rookies, though, that you don't have. Sandy Brock being another one. Yeah, it's rough, man. It is rough, Mark. Rough time to be alive. Upgrades in the team is probably forward line is the toughest thing for you at the moment, just to upgrade.
Could he? Well, he's got
trainer works
Petrarca
okay
and Marek.
Yeah.
So could he do? He might even have to, because of just how weird this lineup does look a little bit, is something like a Humphrey and almost Archer Reed potentially, or a Kako. Yeah, probably a Kako. And then maybe go to the likes of a Dunkley and a Boxall is probably the way I'd go. I think that works out. Yeah, it should work out just on the face of it. But yeah, something like that. Potentially, yeah, you're just honestly looking for a rookie that plays in that midfield, because you have, I mean, you've got Hustwaite stuck there anyway. So you almost need to go actually Sardis and use Sardis there to trade him out to do it. Or maybe Nevitt might get away with it, actually, just thinking about using the set. Because I was almost thinking about it with just not even including the 71k. But I think the 71k plus the Nevitt, and then we say you have to go to Boxall at this point, would be 113.5. That would leave him 146k plus Humphreys 427. That leaves him pretty much room to get anyone, I think. And if I just go, and this takes a second to load, but if I just go somewhere in here, because he doesn't really want a defender, so we can chuck that out if this will load. He could potentially, of course it does. Mine just wants to not work this week. Looking at this, a Dunkley's 539k. Ed Richards, he can do by 400 coins. He could go Ed Richards and Boxall from Humphrey and also Sardis. And then that means you can put Hustwaite on the bench here if he doesn't play. Oh, sorry, it was from a Nevitt. So you even hold a Sardis in case he comes back in, which would be good. If he doesn't come back in, then you can get a Boxall, have a Sardis there, have Hustwaite there alongside Ed Richards.
There you go.
You were that still that I thought I'd
frozen. So Ed Richards in, Boxall. So let's simplify this, guy. Ed Richards in, Boxall in for who? Humphrey out, and who's the second
Humphrey
one?
and Nevitt works, but if it doesn't work, you might have to get rid of Sardis. But I have a feeling Sardis might come back in to save you just a little bit.
There you go, Mark. So if you can do it, let us know.
But
CJ,
if it doesn't have to, then you can just go Dunkley. Like,
there
it's
you go.
Just Dunkley is fine.
My team stinks. What? 15,000. There you go. My team stinks too. Got it there, Kai? My team stinks.
Oh, I actually just thought that was just
that's actually comment. The team name. There you go. Captain Flash.
I was like,
there you go. Jed Buse, good player, just needs to hold his spot, which is probably the big thing. Depends maybe on how long Tom Stewart's out for. Neil, there you go, mate. North Melbourne did well on Nocky Neil, tell you what. Holmes is too inconsistent. I think it's very matchup dependent with him. If he cops the tag, he's in trouble. If he doesn't get tagged, then he doesn't get in trouble. Kai, we can hear the water going down your throat. It is a bit of fun. And a little bit of reverb there too. Let's check it out. Where is my team sucks? Sorry, I've just lost the thing. Here we go. Cool. Sheasel, Zorko, I assume, Bailey Dale, Roberts, Bice, Trainer, Riley Hardiman. Love the Riley Hardiman pick. Brayshaw, Merritt, Neil, Petrarca, Sinclair, Cole, Jordan Dawson, Lindsay, Hustwaite. So really just looking for someone to play in that Hustwaite position. Unfortunately, guys, the news does seem like Hustwaite did not join the bus or join the plane unless he's a late call-up. He's not playing in the NT this week. Because the team list already came out with who's named on the plane, who's not. I like the Zach Reed in the flex position. So currently, before team sheets, your M8 is a little bit flaky. The Conning, Boyd, Max Gorn, cool, that's fine. Bailey Smith, Rankin, McRae, cool. So probably trade out options for yourself is Pal Pepper. If we have a look, potentially another trade out. You don't have a Sard. I think he's probably the only one that is going to play alongside a Boxall. Potentially doesn't get dropped as well. How much money? 15K. Matt Carroll should
I
come
actually
back.
don't mind the trying to figure out a way with Trainer. I don't know if you mentioned that because of Hardiman. But then again, does he have a way in which he can get to a dead rookie in the back line to do that? Don't think he does. So that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting team.
Mm-hmm.
He has.
You know what I would probably do? Go Pal Pepper out. What are we going to do? Where's the other thing coming from? You could be really sneaky and go Pal Pepper out, Trainer out, and grab someone. Hustwaite is probably your nearest thing to get rid of. So maybe if you can get Sard on field for that position, Hustwaite probably comes back at some point, or a Sardis comes back. So it's just about freeing up.
Oh, and then he can put a Petrarca into the forward line, put Hewitt onto the bench, which is a little bit annoying. But then he has the stuck midfielder. Like that is like a prototypical midfielder. Is like the M8
not having
11.
Not having a couple of players makes things a little bit rough for you. All right, so let's go.
Yeah.
Zach Reed out. Sorry, not Zach Reed out. Trainer out. Pal Pepper out. Sard comes into D6. Cool. All right, no problems there. Or if you want to be really tricky, you can put Sard at flex, and then grab anyone. I would probably say, Pal Pepper, Sard. Maybe grab a midfielder if you can. You should have a bunch of money in the team. I think it would be okay.
Yep.
You could do some extra stuff with like a Riley Bice and things like that. You just don't have the DPP in the forward line going up that allows you to free up some stuff. And I don't want to advocate you getting rid of a Sardis, Gross, or Camporelli, which is probably the big thing for your team at the moment. A bit rough.
Yeah. You just got to hope that Gross is at least sub or something like that so he can put up some type of score, if not on field, in their side. Yeah. Because else that is a red dot territory, or at least I would say at best case scenario, a sub M8 territory.
There you go. Travis, hey guys, team is Ballarat TAC. There you go. Don't think anything will save my team. Need to start playing Zach Reed. Yeah, you do. Weak midfield and only positive is Cherry. Keep up the great work. Love your content. Travis, thank you very much, mate. Sorry that your team is a bit rough this year. Yeah, it is a rough one. The good thing about your team is that you've at least got some money hanging out there in your midfield. Some people don't. Some people don't have the money. You do need to be playing Zach Reed, I agree.
A weird
first
assortment.
First up in your team, Trav, I would say Bice out and Zach Reed goes to the position, and then you grab a Sard. That will free you up just over 200K. And then let's look and see what we can do with that 200K is probably the big thing.
Again, that midfield is just so stuck, isn't it? But I would be, looking at a Humphreys or a Perryman. They're in the range there to upgrades.
I quite like Perryman. Sorry. I quite like if you can get Peatling, Trav, with Matt Crouch out in the team. Peatling's going on fire. So hopefully you've got some cash. Fingers crossed. Hopefully you've got some cash. Well, my fingers aren't crossing. Hopefully you've got some cash in your team. Look potentially at a Moraes out for someone like a Peatling in the midfield. Don't fret.
Yep.
There's not a big problem. The team is a little bit behind, but that's okay. Just hold out until the mid-season draft. I've got my fingers crossed. I've got my toes crossed. Hopefully mid-season draft comes around and we get a few...
I'm going to say this at least.
We get a few upgrades for different players.
The good thing in this team, though, is that at least there's cash on the bench. It might not be cash generation, but at least there's cash on the bench. And the players,
100%.
You're almost set up to be a guy that massively moves in the back half of the year just because you can pick and choose your upgrades. Miller up in a couple of weeks. Miller, Perryman, Humphrey up in the next couple of weeks alongside potentially an Atkins. And suddenly your team is going to be within what arguably 1-2 upgrades are being done.
Yep.
And then your team isn't going to look as bad. You're probably going to be at like 40,000, 30,000 rank by then at that point at worst, just because your team's going to be able to close in. And the funny thing is, for Atkins, I actually don't mind him just holding on at the moment because he's just going to do he's going to have potential spike games. He's got that role that he can just sort of have 25 touches and have 20 of them be contested possessions with the way he plays. And he's probably going to have a spike game or two that will do enough for him. But yeah, there's just a couple of sort of guys there that I'm looking at going, I don't know if they have the spike score in them in Perryman, Miller, even Humphreys at this point.
Yeah, then the good thing is, like, similar to holding guys like a Chera, you've got Tom Atkins that, he might be scoring not the best, Perryman scoring not the best, but like Perryman plus Tom Lynch equals a primo. It's just about finishing off a couple of guys, holding some money, waiting till you can start. It's almost just having
it's almost just having the ability to trade almost in a way. Not that, obviously you're limited by the amount of trades in total, 40, but you can only use 2 or if you use a boost 3 in a week, whereas you almost need 4 or 5 just to catch up. But over the course of 2-3 weeks, you will catch that up. But yeah, it looks bad at the moment, but you have almost a destined line, I would say, in a way, just to do it in the next 2 or 3 weeks, just upgrade. And it won't look as bad, whereas some of us are like, what do we do? Because we don't have that obvious upgrade, I would say.
There you go. Captain's 23 getting Sard and Sinclair keeping 100. Nice. No, we'll just go through some more. 4 at Freddy's. There you go. Where the hell is Joe? Joe is currently off recording Fancast, unfortunately. Sunshine Crows, Vic. Mate, you'd hate to misspell one of these. You wouldn't be able to get it, would you? Let's go through a few more of these questions just while Kai's doing that. Defense is sub 200 get. There's probably only 2. Sucks you can't afford Hardeman anymore. We are looking at Sard from Essendon. We are looking at Sandy Brock, but I don't think he's got the job security. Unfortunately, there just isn't anyone left. Let me see if I can pull up Sunshine Crows. There we go. Guys, probably going to go until 9 o'clock. So if you've got any more questions than that, let us know. Normal time, I think, for us today. Just a bit quiet, guys. A little bit quiet. Must be some other people potentially streaming at the same time.
Yeah, there is. I think so.
We'll see. That's okay. Okay.
132k spare. That's a. We can do something.
Nice. So we're probably looking to bring in rookies, and then get rid of players. So right now, I'm looking at your team, and that M8. Thanks, mate. M8 is probably your biggest problem at the moment, just because of having the player there. You can swap.
I will say one
around,
thing though.
Too bad.
Hasty having defensive status helps the hell out because Carroll's pretty much all but confirmed in, I would say.
Yep.
I'm like 95% sure he's playing. So you could, for a week, and I'm saying this for a week, put Hasty and Leak in the sort of bench defender options, put Carroll on field, use Bice plus the 136k, 132k, gives you 500k. And I mean, that's not terribly much.
Bailey Dale, that's Sicily money, so you can do it.
Oh, but that's and then you could even just, if you had to, do another. Put you could do a Stone down to someone like a Boxall if you needed to, just to get those sort of players playing, I guess, at least, and then put Hewitt on the bench in the forward line, something if you needed the players playing. But with your trades left, I probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably just look at maybe even just a buy straight to a Luke Ryan or a Bailey Dale, as I think you pointed out. But yeah, that's sort of that area that I'd be looking at, because I reckon one of those two would bounce back. I wish you didn't have Holmes, because he would be the other guy I'd also notice at that sort of price point as well. It sucks that you're about to, well, I mean, you have Zorko, but for those that would have missed him, because he would have been roughly around the 500k last week as well. So, yeah, I don't think you can get up to the likes of the Dunkleys and those sort of 520, 530k guys at this point. But that 132k definitely does mean I think you can just do one upgrade. And that would be that as well. And then you'd be able to still get Huswaite off field, which is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. So, Bice out, Sard in, or something similar. And then you can grab a midfielder if you want to. Via Hasty and get Carroll on field. Perfect.
Yeah, I'd probably go Stone out, to be honest, there. Maybe.
Oh, yeah, Stone works too. Yeah, Stone facade via Bice out as well, and then move some players around. You can do it. You've always got Echo on field too. Probably better as a bench option than an on-field option. Durham for finals. There you go. Durham for finals.
Here we go. Round rank did a good round.
Whitfield, Cheezel, Clark, nice. Roberts, Zach Reed, Bice, cool. Brayshaw, Dacos, Rosie, Anderson, I love it. Callahan, definitely nice to have him after the bounce back. Fortunately, I traded him at like 440k. Holmes, Ashcroft, Lindsay, cool. Cherry, DeConning, Boyd, Smith, Rankin, Horn, Francis, McRae. I like it. The thing with your team at the moment is probably just grabbing someone like a Sard. Sard is good. Hopefully Archday Wicks holds his position next week. Potentially a Boxall this week. We'll see. Depends how badly Ross the Boss is annoyed by him and his performance. Though they do have a few players coming back. I think Zach Jones did quite well in the VFL on the weekend, so could end up killing that spot. At least you don't have any non-playing rookies. A few of us got stuck with a Hustwaite on field, and then a few dead rookies on the bench. So, yeah, I don't.
You know what he could do?
Yep.
He could flick Kako, putting Stone into the forward line.
Yep.
That would mean he'd get about 80k from Sard, which would put him on about 90k spare. But then Bice, you can't really get anyone up. Maybe he has the luxury at this point of getting rid of a Daniel too. Could he even get his way up to 234? That would be 80 or about, was that 80k flat from Kako to 79k, 90k plus Daniel's 530k. Is Josh Dunkley's 539 because that falls just short, but yeah, 530k. There's still some good-ish midfielders, let alone those I wonder how far short he falls of like a Zorko. He might fall 2 or 3k short of a Zorko, but that's right in the realms of thing. You've got obviously got Clark, you've got Sinclair. That's obvious. When you go through all the options and you start looking through and you go, where's Sinclair?
530k Sinclair done.
Yeah, job done.
Yeah, I love Sinclair. Maybe that's the way to go. Need Sard. Probably offload Kako if you can. Stone can go to the forward line. Sard becomes your new D7.
Sinclair you might fall just short of, but I'm sure that there's someone out there that's going to be in that 520, 530k range at least that you can pick up.
Yeah,
could even just
Caleb
go
Daniel up. If you had some money left over, a little bit rough.
Does he have Marek?
No.
Could go there. I know that's in the forward line itself, but then that just
Bice to Marek.
Go out, Cleary onto the bench, then a Marek through Bice, and then he just puts Holmes into the back line or something, and then you do have Flynn and
Stone around. Yeah. Let us know, Campbell, if that works.
Flicking Stone around. That should work.
Let us know if it works.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Hewitt has a break even of 44, could make it 300k, 100%. They are playing a team this week, so it could end up happening. That's my issue. No cash really on anyone. Hence why I'm hoping that the mid-season draft is the savior. it has been in the last little week as well. Gone mad, 168,800. Sorry, 16,800K left, 19 trades. Here we go. A couple more questions here. I like Holmes. What's your thoughts on Jed?
Oh,
Nice. Go for it. First Jake Dowie team we've had in a while.
this is an interesting team, and that defense is interesting. At least it gives room for upgrades, I would say. Martin, Bowie, Dale, Roberts, Reed, Trainer. Then you have some, there. You've got the logjam at the M8 through at M11, as I'm calling it through this whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a pretty good midfield. You've also got the forward flexibility within the midfield. Got the best two rucks in the game, and then you've got two cashed up F5 and 6. I almost said M5 and 6, but F5 and 6 there with Hall and Powell Pepper effectively. And then on the bench, who's not going to play. The problem with this side, I would say, is just the areas in which you have the dead rookies are all clumped in areas. You've got, if you had Brock and Carroll, I'm putting them as sort of playing. If you had them and you had one of them that had forward eligibility, would be totally fine. But because they both have defender only, and you've got sort of stuck with that F6 and your M8 area with potential, I mean, Lindsay can just swap there, then disregard that. So that kind of negates the whole point. I thought Lindsay was like a Sardis for a second. So yeah, it isn't as bad as what I thought it was. On upgrades, what's he got? 16K. Al Pepper is the obvious one. Could you get away with the Carroll at D6 for a week? Or even a Sard there. If you could probably play through both of them if Brock doesn't play, but there's that scenario there. If McGovern, I think it's McGovern that was Brock was placing. But Trainer would get you about 120K. Put that on Powell Pepper's heads, and you get towards that sort of 515, 520K range. And add that to he'd be about 530K, wouldn't he? Thinking about it. If he's Powell Pepper plus 120K, 125K, it's about that 515 plus the 16K, about 530K to spend on a mid or a forward. I would probably look at a potential midfielder, and there isn't really many. The midfielders are very, very sparse at that 530 range at the moment. You could just do the basic. Oh, he could also go Flynn, but Flynn went 80 and kind of, I think, has he restarted his cash gen, or what's his break even?
No.
I graded him out, so I sort of just disregard him. And my thing doesn't want to load. So yeah, 97.
Yep.
That's. But then again, you've also got Powell Pepper. That's got 111 break even, as this just doesn't want to. My thing's so slow.
That's all right. I'll do it up, guys.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of players there. Probably look to upgrade a Powell Pepper if you can. Max Hall's on field, so it's not too bad. You need to go and grab Sard if you can. Ooh. How do you get the midfielder? That's the problem. A little bit tricky.
You have Warner there, so you can just flick Warner into the forward line, and then you'd have Patton and Grusevsky on the bench. Yeah.
Maybe it is a Trainer out. Assuming Brock, Sard, and Carroll play next week. It's probably Trainer out for yourself, unfortunately. Trainer plus Powell Pepper via Warner gets you a lot of people. So, maybe that's the way to go. Or you can keep Warner there if you want. Grab someone like a Marek, grab someone in that forward line if you want to as well. And then you're cooking for right now. So, maybe that's a bit of a play. Let's plow through these because we have a few more to go. SPP and Flynn would give some more cash. There you go. All right, maybe I'll chuck in mine. Where is it?
Yep.
How do you do it? Oh, it's just in players at the top, hey? No players. And then how do you check your coaches? Yeah, cool. Done. Maybe I'll swap over.
Yep.
1 second, because Kai is not functioning right. That's all right.
It's not me, it's my computer, thanks.
All right. Kiko mode. There we go. Baked. Hope you're doing well, mate. You sure? Oh, if I can spell right. There we go.
I was looking at it being like, yeah,
Giorgio.
got the team.
Here we go, Giorgio. I'm going to remember your name, Giorgio. Whitfield, Cheezel, Clark, cool. Roberts, all right. Reed, and then Fonte. Hopefully he holds his spot. You've already got player of the week Sard in your team. Brayshaw, Dacos, Lockie Neal, Rosie Dawson. Nice. Potentially 3 more here that we need to upgrade alongside maybe a Roberts, but we'll see. Gorn, Cherry, cool. Petrarca, Smith, Rankin, Horn, Francis, McRae, Daniel, Flynn. There we go. And I think we've got 55K, 19 trades left. This position is probably the butt of every joke at the moment. And unfortunately, you don't have any rookies who can play in there. Where assuming Hustwaite doesn't come back, Camporelli doesn't come back. Potentially Sardis does as well, but we'll see. Boy, this is a team that's a little bit rough, mate. Little bit rough.
Yeah.
Do you go
At
early
this
on
point,
Archer Day Wicks? Do you go early on Archer Day Wicks is probably the big thing. You're hoping that a Sardis comes back. He did dominate the VFL this week. Went massive. So hoping that he comes back. If he doesn't, you're in a little bit of bother. You may be forced to get an Archer Day Wicks into your team just to have a playing player. Unfortunately, this week it is a bit rough. Not having the DPP swing and whatnot in your sides. You could go a Sandy Brock as well, but I don't think the job security is great. What would I do? Not much money left, so it kind of hurts that way. Kako down to Archer Day Wicks doesn't get you much. If you can try and get a Peatling in this team, but I don't think you can. And you don't have the DPP here to do stuff. Mate, you're not giving me much to work with, Baked. You are not. I'd love to see, if you're still here in the chat, I would love to see what you're actually planning to do. Yeah, 41 touches, surely. There you go. I'd actually love to see what you're going to do. Maybe you can do something with the Flynn going up, get yourself a midfielder, and then just put a rookie here. Maybe the play. But, yeah, it's a rough one. You may be forced to trade out one of these players and of Matt Flynn because you just don't have the DPP between the two positions. Like if you had a guy here, Erasmus, whoever, throw him to here. Heck, if you even had like a Stone or someone here, we might be able to do some stuff. But yeah, you're a little bit stuck. Let me know what you want to do. 2 early trade-in next week. There you go. Crusaders, guys, probably here for another 10, 15 minutes. There you go. Alrighty. Let's get this into gear, Kai. We'll plow through them. A couple of minutes on each, and then we're done. Because we have been on for a while. I don't think you're Johnson's. Are you Rick? Ricky. There you go, Ricky. 30K in the bank, 19 trades. Love it. Cheezel, Zorko, Sinclair, Roberts, Bice, Pryor. Mate, I wish I had Pryor. I'm so sad that I don't have him. Him alongside Long and a few of these other players like Marek. I've just made all the cash that I just don't have in my team. If you had Hewitt, you had Hall, you have Pryor, you're kicking goals. No Zach Reed, unfortunately. I assume, Ricky, you've traded him out at some point. Carroll Patton, cool. Dacos, Merritt, Neil, Petrakis, along Warner, Hustwaite, cool. So this is probably a little bit of an issue for yourself at the moment. Lindsay can come here. You'd hope that Boxall plays. Gorn, DeConning, cool. Bailey Smith, Rankin, Horn, Francis, McRae, Marek, Daniel, and then Ashcroft and Cleary. So Sard is probably the biggest glaring option for myself that you need to get in. I think he'll play and make a bunch of money. Unfortunately, you don't have the DPP swing here because Patton is here. But you can go Kako to Sard via Patton if you want. Free up 80K, which would make you have about 110K. But then what would you do with your 110K? That's the big question. That is the question. Only problem is you don't have enough money to to upgrade on here. So hypothetically, Boxall plays. You just have to hold him. You can go Riley Bice up to a primo with the 120k, 110k. We've spoken about Bailey Dale, spoken about Sicily, potentially Max Holmes if you've got enough money to do it as well. There's some options in there as well. So if you want to do that, let us know. It is a little bit tricky. Harass, there you go. Hey boys, currently ranked 90 overall. Marek is killing me. Yeah. And that's the painful thing for me as well. I want to do stuff with my team. I wanted to get him in last week. I didn't. It is rough. Should I get Marek or Sinclair this week, Kai? If you hate Marek, and the problem is that they play each other. So the only thing that's going to be the difference for myself, if we go this way and we look at break-evens, 23. 20. If you don't get him this week, he's going to be 500k.
Yeah.
Sinclair,
I'd probably be...
106. I would be getting Marek.
I'd probably be Marek. Because worst case scenario, Sinclair is 550, 555, somewhere around that range with a sort of 160.
With a big game, yeah.
Whereas
Versus
Marek with even 100, with 100, he could be, up 35k itself.
Easy.
So if Marek does go 130 again, I think he goes up roughly 46, 47k, I think, which would put him at around about Sinclair's price himself, just for almost doing the same thing. Like, he could almost bridge that gap for almost the same price, for almost the same score, sorry.
It's rough. Get Marek in just due to break-evens. You might be outpriced in like 2 weeks. Chera, Daniel, SPP are the guys I'm looking at for this trade. Nice. SPP and Hewitt to Sard and Sinclair. Velo could do that. Broadstar, here we go. Guys, this will be our... we'll plow through. We've got 5 minutes. We'll see how many we can get rid of. Broad. Broadstar, I assume this is you. Sheasel, Zorko, Roberts, cool. Reed, Bice, O'Sullivan. Nice to have O'Sullivan, Prime, McDonald. You've got a lot of money there. Brace, actually, Oscar McDonald is one as well that we can have a look at potentially bringing in. Yep. He won't make much money because I think he may be out again, but we'll see who's named for Sean Darcy, and depending on how long Darcy is out for. Brayshaw, Petrarca, Rosie, Sidebottom, Callahan, Chera, Matt. What? Nice. Midfield almost done. Cherry, DeConning, Boyd. Cool. And then forward line is looking okay. Triple ruck, which is nice. No Max Gorham, but that's fine. And a trade out. Powell Pepper, Daniel, and Bice this week. Warner looks really good for the position. If you don't want to do Warner, you can always move Petrarca forward, but it's hard to pass up Warner at just over 500k. I look at the team and it looks very good. Powell Pepper and Bice. You don't have a Sard, so maybe he's potentially your saving grace. Bice, Powell Pepper, and Daniel. Cool. All right. Do we have a DPP swing somewhere? No, we do have Petrarca, but we need a second one in this position. That's the only thing that's going to kill you this week, Rexies. You don't have a second one because ideally Petrarca moves to here and we can do some stuff. But if you're going to get rid of these two, you need a player from somewhere else to come in. Currently, we do not have that functionality. So you're almost forced to get a forward, which I don't think you can go early on in Archer Day Wicks. And I would rather tell you get Sard in, who should still make some money.
Yeah, that's why I'd almost consider getting rid of O'Sullivan and even who else could he potentially get? There's not really anyone that you can really get rid of. Well. Unless you want to finally get rid of a side bottom who's just in the middle of the midfield. If you didn't see that. It could be just that could be a sideways move. Because he's just going to drop cash. He's also a potential just sub risk as well with the way Collingwood's flowing. So, yeah, I have a feeling he could easily go down to like he could easily lose 100k in 3-4 weeks with the way his break even is set up.
It's just a bit tricky. Just a little bit tricky. Just this position's a bit rough for yourself. You could move a Petrarca down and then field Ashcroft on the bench, but I don't think you want to be doing that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think you could also just do Bison O'Sullivan to someone. That's what.
Yeah.
You could honestly almost do Bison O'Sullivan to Sard, and that would give him. How much cash does he have? 25k.
Yeah.
So that would be about 400, 719, 560. Yeah, you do Bison O'Sullivan to Sinclair and Sard. If I'm not missing anything.
Way to go, Rexy. Save a boost. Save a boost. Archer Day Wicks, 99k rookie, maybe the savior of your team. You may lose like 20k or something in the forward line.
Unless he still has enough cash, because he might be able to do Bice O'Sullivan and Sidebottom to Sinclair, Sard, but also squeeze in a Dunkley as well there.
Yeah.
I know it is swapping it around, but getting rid of Sidebottom could be critical now because you might save yourself 60k.
Nice. There you go. Cherrett and Daniel have the potential to score well. SPP not so much. We'll see. Know where you're getting him. Warner potentially round 5. Brown top premiums out 4 or less. Very good. 5 okay, 6 more to trade. Yeah, it really depends because I think a few of us now have actually gone the other way. If I look at my team, it's I've kind of gone the opposite way. It's gone from not
I've
enough
gone from round 12 being the problem to round. And now it's round 16.
Yep, and then they're all the really good players too. So you'll do really well.
Yep.
Come around 16, everyone's there. So a bit rough. Maybe you trade some of those players into blunt butters. I got 5. There you go. If I trade long in SPP, I get Marek and I have 580k. Yeah, cool. You can do some funky stuff. Potentially Max Holmes, a little bit inconsistent. Could get Dale. He's got a great run at Marvel. There you go.
Yeah.
I was thinking trading Newcomb and Bice out for Blitzarves and Marek. Wouldn't touch Blitzarves with a 12-foot pole. I think he's
only
in and out
12.
Of the side. Oh, yeah. In and out of the side and just inconsistent, unfortunately. Boss and Bice to Side and Dale. There you go. A few people having conversations in the chat, which is fantastic. I think I've cut out a bunch of stuff. Let's finish off these guys. Hey Legends, trading Chera and Flynn to I think at the moment I would probably keep Chera just because he's around the mark. Daniel does have the role, but he has just been shocking, unfortunately. So I'd probably do him. If Sardis isn't back, trade Sardis and swing Sard into the midfield and then bring up Primo for the flex. There you go. Get rid of Flynn. No Reed in the team. There you go. That was the team from before. I've got to move Finn O'Sullivan to the centre, taking out Hustwaite and Daniel, bring in Sinclair and Sandy Brock, leaving. Yep. If you don't have Brock, the only problem with Brock, Mark, is his job security is not fantastic. So if not Brock, McDonald is probably in a similar situation as well. Last team, Hoops, last team. We'll get rid of these two. So planning on trading Bice and Cleary to Boxall and Sinclair. Cool. Playing Brock on field. Yeah, it's a bit rough. Thanks, guys. Looking at Holmes and Clark. 12 Hoops. You are my last team for the night. Kai, we have been going monster. Just cracked over 9 o'clock. I need to go have some dinner. What about you? Have you eaten, Kai?
Yeah, I got some in before.
Nice. What was dinner?
It was a little bit of fish and I know am I just is there no comma or something there? Nice.
Bro, I'm struggling. NOAHS Noah's I won't read that one. Bro, I can't find your team. I cannot find your team, Hoops. Hoops, quick. How do you spell the name? Because I cannot find the team. All right. 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, guys. Unfortunately, Mr. Hoops has missed out. It has been a fun Monday. Hopefully, you guys have had a fun time as well. Slowly, the numbers start to go down, Kai. But I think just the options in Supercoach have started to go down a little bit as well. Not having much rookies. Probably worth jumping on a Tristan Xerri if you don't have him. Currently 53% owned, and it sucks. But it's really hard to anti-pod a guy like Tristan Xerri at the moment.
Yep.
All right, guys. Members live stream tomorrow. If you guys don't know, 6 o'clock, jump on. It's a lot of fun. We'll go through the community team. It actually has some money and players and upgrades and things to do. What else? We got drive home on Thursday as well. So it should be a good one. Kai, what do you have coming up?
I have my video recorded for the Supercoach trade targets for Tuesday. That was recorded today. And then Wednesday, I plan on going live. But for fantasy, I just need to sort of lock in someone else to join me because single live streams are a little bit tough. And then Thursday will be my team reveals, and Friday, I'm probably going to swap to Friday, honestly, doing just the tips video on Friday because then it seems it's working for me. I do better tips-wise by waiting. And it also is just better for the workload and stuff like that because I come almost like a raging bull into Thursday and go, oh, I've got to record and everything. I've got like 4 videos to catch up on.
Yeah, last thing to go. All boys can give thoughts on Daniels and Bice to Holmes and Clark. I do not mind it. It is great. We'll catch you in the next one, guys. Back again next Monday. Hopefully Supercoach treats you well because here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work so you guys don't have to. Mate, just have fun. That's the biggest thing at the moment. Have a lot of fun. Enjoy yourselves. We'll catch you next time.